You tried to break the wrong man.
The thing about family gatherings is they're like dental surgery, painful, expensive, and you spend the whole time wishing you were anywhere else. But unlike root canals, Thanksgiving dinner at the Locke family mansion comes with the added bonus of watching your relatives sharpen their knives while pretending to carve turkey. I'm Aidan Locke, 42 years old, software engineer, and according to my charming family, the designated black sheep. Tonight, I'm sitting at the far end of our mahogany dining table, the spot reserved for disappointments and unwanted guests. My wife Tanya sits across from me, her blonde hair perfectly styled, her smile as fake as her designer handbag. Next to her, my golden boy brother Eric adjusts his expensive tie and shoots me that smug look I've grown to despise over 4 decades. "Aiden, you're awfully quiet tonight," my mother Eileen announces, her voice carrying that particular tone reserved for public shaming. She's wearing enough diamonds to blind a pilot, courtesy of the family real estate fortune that Eric and I were supposedly destined to inherit. "Cat got your tongue?" "Just enjoying the family bonding experience, Mom," I reply, cutting into my turkey with more force than necessary. Nothing says love like gathering around to discuss each other's failures. My father Charles clears his throat, a sound that typically precedes bad news. He's 73, built like a linebacker gone soft, and has the emotional warmth of a tax audit. "Actually, Aiden, since you brought up failures, your mother and I have something to discuss." Here it comes. I can feel it in my bones, the way you sense a storm approaching. Tanya's hand moves under the table, and I catch a glimpse of her fingers intertwining with Eric's. The gesture is quick, subtle, but I see it. I've been seeing a lot of things lately. "We've made a decision about the will," Dad continues, dabbing his mouth with his napkin like he's preparing for surgery. "Given your repeated refusal to help Eric with his financial difficulties, we're removing you as a beneficiary." The words hang in the air like smoke from a house fire. My 17-year-old daughter Morgan looks up from her phone, suddenly interested. My 14-year-old son Nathan shifts uncomfortably in his chair, his eyes darting between me and his mother. "Financial difficulties," I repeat slowly. "Is that what we're calling Eric's gambling issues now? That's creative." Eric's face flushes red. "I don't have a gambling problem, Aiden. I had some bad luck with investments." "Investments. Right." I lean back in my chair, studying my brother's expensive watch, his designer suit, his perfectly styled hair. "Tell me, Eric, what's the current interest rate on poker debts these days?" "Boys, please," Mom interjects, but there's no real conviction in her voice. She's always enjoyed watching us fight, like it's entertainment. Tanya clears her throat, and I notice she's gripping Eric's hand tighter now. The sight makes my stomach churn, not because I'm jealous, but because I'm disgusted. "Actually, Charles, Eileen, since we're having this conversation, I have an announcement too." Oh, this should be good. I take a sip of wine and wait for the other shoe to drop. "I want a divorce," she says, her voice steady and rehearsed. "I've been thinking about this for months. Aiden and I have grown apart, and I think it's best for everyone if we separate." Morgan nods approvingly. "It's about time, Mom. Dad's been impossible to live with lately." Nathan looks like he's been slapped. "What? But why?" "Your father has become bitter and resentful," Tanya explains, her voice taking on that martyred tone she's perfected over the years. "He refuses to help family members in need. He's constantly negative. And frankly, I can't stand being around him anymore." The room falls silent except for the ticking of the grandfather clock in the corner. Everyone's staring at me, waiting for my reaction. They expect me to beg, to apologize, to grovel for forgiveness. Instead, I start laughing. "Something funny?" Eric asks, his voice tight. "Oh, this is hilarious," I say, wiping my eyes. "The timing is just perfect. Really, Tanya, your sense of drama is impeccable." She narrows her eyes. "What's that supposed to mean?" "It means you've been planning this little performance for weeks, haven't you? Coordinate with Mom and Dad to cut me out of the will, then announce the divorce when I'm at my lowest point. Very theatrical." "You're paranoid," she snaps. "Am I? Then explain why your hand has been holding Eric's under the table for the past 10 minutes. The silence that follows is deafening. Tanya jerks her hand back like she's been burned. Eric's face goes white. Mom drops her fork with a clatter. "That's ridiculous," Tanya stammers, but her voice lacks conviction. "Is it? You know what else is ridiculous? The fact that you've been wearing Eric's cologne for the past 3 months. Or that your car was parked outside his apartment building last Tuesday when you were supposedly at book club. Or that you accidentally called me Eric during love 2 weeks ago. Morgan's mouth falls open. Nathan looks like he's going to be sick. My parents are staring at Tanya and Eric like they're watching a car accident in slow motion. You're crazy, Eric says, but his voice is shaking. You've lost your mind. Have I? Then you won't mind explaining why Tanya's earring was in your car last month. The diamond studs I gave her for our anniversary. Tanya's face crumbles. The mask slips, and for a moment I see the real her. Guilty, desperate, caught. Then she recovers, straightening her shoulders and lifting her chin defiantly. Fine, she says. Yes, Eric and I are involved. We've been seeing each other for 6 months. He understands me in ways you never could. 6 months, I repeat, nodding slowly. That's interesting timing. Right around when you started pushing me to co-sign Eric's loan applications. Dad's face is purple now. What loan applications? Oh, didn't they tell you? They've been using my credit and our joint accounts to cover Eric's gambling debts. About $40,000 so far. The explosion that follows is spectacular. Dad starts yelling at Eric. Mom starts crying. Morgan starts screaming at me for ruining everything. Nathan just sits there, staring at his plate like it might provide answers. Through the chaos, Tanya leans forward and hisses, You have until midnight to get out of the house. Take your clothes and leave everything else. I stand up slowly, straightening my tie. Should I leave the leftovers too, or are those for the new king? Just go, she spits. Nobody wants you here. I look around the table at my family, my cheating wife, my brother with a gambling problem, my cold parents, my children who've been turned against me. Then I smile. You know what? You're absolutely right. I'll pack my things and be gone within the hour. I walk out of the dining room, leaving behind the shouting and tears. As I pack my duffel bag, I can hear them arguing downstairs, probably dividing up my possessions already. My phone buzzes with notifications, but I ignore them. I have work to do. By the time I reach my car, I've made 17 phone calls and sent 23 emails. As I drive away from the house I've called home for 15 years, my phone starts ringing. Dad's name appears on the screen. I let it go to voicemail. He calls again and again. By the time I hit the county line, he's called 13 times. This time I answer. What do you want, Dad? Aiden, you need to come back. Right now. Why would I do that? Because you've frozen all the accounts. The credit cards aren't working. The mortgage payment bounced. What the heck did you do? I pull into a gas station and park under a streetlight. Through my windshield, I can see the highway stretching into darkness, leading away from everything I've known. I did what any smart software engineer would do, Dad. I protected my assets. The Riverside Motel isn't exactly the Four Seasons, but it has 2 things going for it. It's cheap, and it doesn't ask questions. The room smells like disinfectant and broken dreams, but the Wi-Fi works, and that's all I need right now. I'm sitting on the edge of the bed, laptop open, watching my carefully constructed plan unfold in real time. It's been 3 days since Thanksgiving, and the notifications on my phone haven't stopped. Tanya has called 47 times, Eric 32. Dad is up to 63, which might be a new record. The thing about being married to someone for 18 years is you learn their habits. Tanya always handles the bills on the first of the month, sitting at the kitchen table with her reading glasses and her color-coded folders. She's organized, methodical, and completely dependent on systems she doesn't understand. Systems I built. Every account, every loan, every credit card, every automatic payment, they're all in my name. Tanya insisted on it years ago for tax purposes, which really meant she didn't want the responsibility. Eric convinced her it was smarter to let me handle the finances while she focused on more important things like redecorating and social climbing. Now they're discovering what happens when the person who built the system decides to burn it down. My phone buzzes. Jim Morrison, not the dead rock star, but my neighbor, and the only person in this mess I actually trust. He's an ex-cop, retired early after taking a bullet in the knee during a domestic violence call. Now he spends his time fixing motorcycles and dispensing wisdom that nobody asks for. How's the motel life treating you? He asks when I answer. Like a vacation in heck. What's the situation at the house? Your lovely wife threw a lamp at the wall about an hour ago. Eric's been pacing the driveway like a caged animal. And your parents showed up this morning in their Mercedes, looking like they were attending a funeral. I lean back against the headboard, savoring the mental image. Any sign of the kids? Morgan left for school looking pissed off at the world. Nathan kept glancing toward my house like he wanted to come talk to me, but Tanya called him back inside. That hurts more than I want to admit. Nathan's always been closer to me than to his mother. He's quiet, thoughtful, the kind of kid who notices things other people miss. Morgan, on the other hand, is 17 and has inherited her mother's talent for drama and her uncle's sense of entitlement. Jim, I need you to do me a favor. I'm listening. Keep an eye on them. Document everything, times, dates, what you see. If Tanya tries to leave with the kids, call me immediately. You think she'll run? I think she's desperate, and desperate people do stupid things. After I hang up, I open my laptop and check the joint account activity. Tanya tried to withdraw $500 this morning. Declined. She tried to use the Visa to buy groceries. Declined. She even tried to pay for gas with the emergency credit card. Also declined. I've left them exactly enough money to buy food and pay utilities, but nothing else. No shopping sprees, no restaurants, no trips to the casino for Eric. They're living on a budget for the first time in years, and from the sound of Jim's reports, they're not handling it well. My phone buzzes with a text from an unknown number. We need to talk. Meet me at Starbucks on 5th Street in an hour. Come alone. T. Interesting. Tanya's using someone else's phone now, probably because she can't afford to pay the cell phone bill. I check the account. Sure enough, service was suspended yesterday. I type back, which Starbucks? There are 3 on 5th Street. The response comes quickly. The one by the bookstore. And Aiden, don't make this harder than it needs to be. I laugh out loud. Even when she's begging for mercy, Tanya can't resist trying to sound threatening. An hour later, I'm sitting in the back corner of Starbucks, nursing a black coffee and watching the door. Tanya arrives exactly on time, which surprises me. She's always been fashionably late to everything, claiming it makes her seem more important. Today, she looks like she hasn't slept in days. Her hair is pulled back in a messy ponytail. She's wearing jeans and a sweater instead of her usual designer outfit, and there are dark circles under her eyes. She slides into the chair across from me without ordering anything. We can't afford coffee, she says, reading my expression. Thanks to you. You're welcome. This isn't funny, Aiden. The kids are asking questions I can't answer. Morgan wants to know why her credit card isn't working. Nathan keeps asking when you're coming home. Maybe you should have thought about that before you decided to screw my brother. She flinches like I've slapped her. It wasn't supposed to happen this way. How is it supposed to happen? You and Eric were going to ride off into the sunset with my money while I what exactly? Thanked you for the privilege? We never meant to hurt you. Bees, you planned this whole thing. The will, the divorce announcement, the public humiliation. You wanted to destroy me, Tanya. The only problem is you forgot one tiny detail. What? I lean forward, lowering my voice. I'm smarter than you are. I'm smarter than Eric. And I'm definitely smarter than my parents. You all spent so many years treating me like the family failure that you forgot I'm the one who actually knows how things work. Her hands are shaking now. What do you want? I want you to understand something. For 18 years, I've been the responsible one. I've paid the bills, managed the investments, handled the taxes, dealt with the insurance, maintained the house, and basically kept your comfortable little world running smoothly. And how did you repay me? By cheating on me with my own brother and trying to steal everything I've worked for. It's not stealing. I'm your wife. Half of everything belongs to me. Actually, no. See, that's another thing you never bothered to learn about. Community property laws in this state are complicated, especially when one spouse has been using marital assets to cover another person's gambling debts without the other spouse's knowledge. My lawyer says I have an excellent case for claiming fraud. The color drains from her face. You hired a lawyer? I hired the best divorce attorney in the state, Sarah Chen. Maybe you've heard of her? She's the one who took Senator Williams for everything he had when his wife found out about his affairs. Tanya's mouth opens and closes like a fish gasping for air. Aiden, please, we can work this out. We don't need lawyers. We needed lawyers the moment you decided to betray me. But here's the thing, Tanya. I'm not just going to divorce you. I'm going to destroy you. By the time I'm done, you'll have nothing. No money, no house, no social standing. And if I have anything to say about it, no kids. She starts crying then. Real tears, not the crocodile tears she used to manipulate me with. You can't take my children away from me. Watch me. I've got 18 years of documentation showing that I've been the primary caregiver while you've been playing socialite. I've got bank records showing you've been stealing money to support your boyfriend's gambling habit. And now I've got evidence of adultery. What do you think a family court judge is going to say about all that? I stand up, leaving her sobbing at the table. Oh, and Tanya, tell Eric I said hello, and remind him that he still owes me $40,000. As I walk out of Starbucks, my phone buzzes with a call from Jim. You need to get over here, he says without preamble. Your brother just showed up with two guys who look like they bench press cars for fun, and they don't look happy. I arrive at my street to find Eric's BMW parked in my driveway, along with a black SUV that screams, "We break kneecaps for a living." Through Jim's front window, I can see him watching the scene with binoculars, probably enjoying the show. I park 3 houses down and walk casually toward the action. Eric is standing on my front porch, gesticulating wildly while talking to 2 men who look like they stepped out of a mob movie. One is tall and thin with dead eyes. The other is built like a refrigerator with anger management issues. "There he is!" Eric shouts when he spots me. "That's my brother!" The thin one approaches me with the kind of smile that suggests he enjoys his work a little too much. "You're Aiden Locke?" Depends who's asking. "My name's Vincent. This is Tony. We work for Mr. Castellanos." I've heard that name before. Sal Castellanos runs a chain of legitimate businesses around the city, but everyone knows he's really a bookie who takes gambling very seriously. Apparently, Eric's debts have graduated from inconvenient to dangerous. "Let me guess," I say. "My brother owes you money, and he told you I'd pay it." Vincent nods. $47,000 to be exact, plus interest. That's interesting because Eric told my parents he only owed $40,000. Seems like the number keeps growing. Eric's face flushes red. "The interest compounds daily, Aiden. You know that." "Actually, I don't know that because it's not my debt." I turn back to Vincent. "Gentlemen, I appreciate you coming all this way, but there's been a misunderstanding. I'm not responsible for my brother's poor life choices." Tony speaks for the first time, his voice like gravel in a blender. "Family is family." "You're absolutely right. And as family, I should probably tell you that Eric has been lying to you about his assets." I pull out my phone and open the banking app. "See, Eric told you he had access to family money, right? That he could pay you back once his rich brother helped him out?" Vincent's eyes narrow. "That's what he said." "Well, here's the thing. Eric doesn't have any money. His parents cut him out of their will 3 days ago. His sister-in-law is filing for divorce and taking half of everything. And the house you're standing in front of? It's about to go into foreclosure because nobody can make the mortgage payments." I show them the screen, which displays the joint account balance. $847.32. "This is all the money Eric has access to. $800, that's it." Tony looks at Eric like he's something he scraped off his shoe. "You said you were good for it." "I am," Eric protests. "This is just temporary. Once the divorce is settled, once my parents calm down, I'll have access to millions." "Millions," I repeat, laughing. "Eric, you're delusional. Even if mom and dad forgave you, which they won't, their entire estate is worth maybe $2 million. After taxes, legal fees, and splitting it with me, you'd be looking at less than $1 million. And that's assuming they don't spend it all on medical care before they die." Vincent and Tony exchange a look that doesn't bode well for Eric's future health. "There's something else you should know," I continue. "Eric has a serious gambling problem. He's been lying to you about his ability to pay because he literally can't help himself. He'll promise you anything to get more time, but he'll never stop betting, which means he'll never pay you back." "Aiden, what are you doing?" Eric hisses. "I'm helping our new friends understand the situation." I turn back to Vincent. "Here's my suggestion. Take whatever Eric has left, his car, his watch, his fancy clothes, and call it even. Cut your losses before this gets more expensive for everyone involved." Vincent considers this for a moment. "The BMW is worth maybe $30,000, still leaves $17,000 plus interest." "Then I guess Eric better find a new line of work." Eric grabs my arm. "You can't do this to me. I'm your brother." I shake him off. "You stopped being my brother the moment you decided to sleep with my wife and steal my money. Now you're just another guy who made bad choices and has to live with the consequences." Vincent signals to Tony, who moves toward Eric with the efficiency of someone who's done this before. "Mr. Locke, Eric, not Aiden. You're coming with us. We're going to have a conversation about your payment plan." "Wait," Eric says, backing toward the house. Tanya, call the police." The front door opens, and Tanya appears, still wearing the same clothes from our coffee meeting. She takes one look at the situation and steps back inside, locking the door behind her. "Looks like you're on your own, little brother," I say. As Vincent and Tony escort Eric to their SUV, he turns back to me with pure hatred in his eyes. "This isn't over, Aiden. You're going to regret this." "Probably," I agree, "but not as much as you are." After they drive away, Jim emerges from his house, grinning like he's just watched the best movie of the year. "That was beautiful," he says. "Absolutely beautiful. You just fed your brother to the sharks. He fed himself. I just pointed them toward the chum. What's your next move?" I look at the house where my wife is probably having a panic attack, knowing that her meal ticket just got repossessed. Now I start playing offense. That evening, I'm back at the motel, working on my laptop, when my phone rings. It's a number I don't recognize, but I answer anyway. "Aiden, it's me." Tanya's voice is small, frightened. "Let me guess. Eric's phone got disconnected too?" "They took him, Aiden. Those men, they took Eric." "I know. I was there. You have to help him. Whatever problems we have, he's still your brother." "Actually, no, I don't. And no, he's not. Eric made his choices just like you made yours. But they might hurt him. They might, or they might just scare him enough to make him get a real job and stop gambling. Either way, it's not my problem anymore." She's quiet for a long moment. "What do you want from me?" "I want you to understand that your comfortable little life is over. No more shopping sprees, no more spa days, no more playing the rich man's wife. You're going to have to get a job, Tanya, a real job, and you're going to have to figure out how to take care of yourself for the first time in your adult life. I can't do this alone. You should have thought of that before you decided to betray me." I hang up and go back to my laptop. Tomorrow, I start phase 2 of my plan. Tanya thinks losing Eric and the money is the worst thing that can happen to her. She's about to learn how wrong she is. The thing about small towns is that everyone knows everyone else's business. In a city like ours with just over 50,000 people, secrets have a half-life of about 24 hours. Which is why I'm not surprised when my phone starts ringing at 7 in the morning with calls from people I haven't spoken to in months. "Aiden, it's Dave Martinez from the office." Dave's my former supervisor at the software company where I worked until last year when I decided to go freelance. "I heard about what happened with Tanya and Eric. Man, I'm sorry." "Thanks, Dave. How did you hear about it?" "My wife plays tennis with Rochelle Williams. Apparently the whole country club is talking about it." Rochelle Williams, Tanya's best friend, confidant, and partner in gossip. If Rochelle knows the details, then half the town knows them too. This could work to my advantage. "What exactly is Rochelle saying?" Dave clears his throat uncomfortably. "Look, I probably shouldn't repeat gossip, but she's telling people that you've lost your mind, that you're being vindictive and cruel, trying to destroy your own family out of spite." "Is that right?" "She's saying Tanya only turned to Eric for emotional support because you've been cold and distant for years. That the affair was really your fault for neglecting your wife." I have to admire the strategy. Tanya and Rochelle are trying to control the narrative, painting me as the villain and Tanya as the victim. It's a smart move, except for one problem. I have evidence. "Dave, do me a favor. Ask your wife if she'd like to hear the recording of Rochelle and Tanya talking about how stupid I am for not noticing the affair sooner." There's a recording. There are several recordings. Turns out when you set up someone's smart home system, you can access all the devices remotely, including the voice assistants that are always listening. Dave whistles low. "Dude, that's... wow." "Yeah, I've got 6 months of conversations between Tanya and Rochelle, discussing everything from Eric's gambling debts to their plans for spending my money after the divorce. Real heartwarming stuff. After I hang up with Dave, I spend the morning reviewing my audio files. The smart speakers in the house have been recording conversations for months, and I've been downloading the files religiously. Most of it is mundane household chatter, but there are some real gems, like the conversation from 2 weeks ago where Tanya told Rochelle that she couldn't wait to get rid of that loser and move in with Eric. Or the one where Rochelle suggested they could claim I was mentally unstable to get a better settlement in the divorce. My favorite, though, is from last month, when they were planning Tanya's girls' night out that was actually a cover for her overnight stay at Eric's apartment. "The idiot actually believes I'm at book club," Tanya's voice says through my laptop speakers. "He's so clueless, I could probably tell him I'm cheating, and he'd find a way to blame himself." "Men are so stupid," Rochelle agrees. "Especially the smart ones. They overthink everything except the obvious." Eric says Aiden's always been like this. Too focused on his computers and his logic problems to notice what's happening right in front of him. Well, it's working in our favor. By the time he figures it out, you'll have everything you need for the divorce. I saved that particular file with a special label. Exhibit A. Around noon, Jim calls with an update. Your wife left the house about an hour ago. Took Nathan with her, but not Morgan. The teenager's been sitting on the front porch, looking miserable since breakfast. Where did they go? Followed them to the elementary school. Looks like she's picking up Nathan early. Now they're at McDonald's. This is interesting. Tanya never picks Nathan up from school unless he's sick, and she certainly never takes him to McDonald's. She considers fast food beneath her social status. Keep watching. Let me know if they head toward the highway. You think she's running? I think she's desperate enough to try anything. An hour later, Jim calls back. They're at the bank. She's been inside for 20 minutes, and Nathan's waiting in the car. She looks upset. I can guess what's happening. Tanya's trying to open a new account or get access to funds that don't exist. The bank is probably explaining that she can't access money that's not in her name and that her credit applications are being declined because her only source of income just disappeared. My phone buzzes with a text from Morgan. Dad, where are you? Mom's acting crazy and I don't know what to do. I stare at the message for a long moment. Morgan has barely spoken to me since Thanksgiving, and when she did, it was usually to tell me how disappointed she was in my behavior. Now she's reaching out, which means things at home are worse than I thought. I call her instead of texting back. Dad? Her voice sounds younger than her 17 years. I'm here, sweetheart. What's going on? Mom took Nathan out of school today. She won't tell me where they went, but she's been crying and making phone calls all morning. She keeps saying we might have to move. Move where? I don't know. She won't explain anything. She just keeps saying that you've ruined everything and we have to start over somewhere else. My blood runs cold. If Tanya tries to take the kids out of state, it will complicate everything. Morgan, I need you to listen to me very carefully. If your mother tries to pack suitcases or tells you to get ready for a trip, you call me immediately. Do you understand? Are you and Mom really getting divorced? The question hits me harder than I expected. Yes, honey, we are. Is it because of Uncle Eric? Smart girl. Too smart for her own good sometimes. Partly. I heard them talking last night, Mom and Uncle Eric. They were arguing about money and something about people looking for him. What kind of people? I don't know, but Uncle Eric seemed scared. He kept saying he needed to leave town, but Mom said they couldn't go without us kids. This is worse than I thought. If Eric is planning to run and he wants to take Tanya and my children with him, I need to act fast. Morgan, I'm coming to get you. But Mom said, I don't care what Mom said. I'm your father, and I'm not going to let anything happen to you or Nathan. I'm already grabbing my keys when Jim calls. They're on the move, he says, heading toward the interstate. And Aiden, there are suitcases in the back of the car. I'm doing 75 in a 65 zone, weaving through afternoon traffic while trying to call every contact I have in law enforcement. The problem with being the family black sheep is that you don't have a lot of allies when the chips are down. Jim's voice crackles through my Bluetooth. They just passed the Route 9 exit, still heading north. Any sign of Eric? Negative, but there's a Honda following them. Could be nothing, could be something. My phone buzzes with an incoming call. Sarah Chen, my divorce attorney. Sarah, I need an emergency custody order. Slow down, Aiden. What's happening? My wife is attempting to flee the state with my children. She's been in contact with my brother who's currently being hunted by some very dangerous people for gambling debts. Are you sure she's fleeing? Maybe she's just... She pulled Nathan out of school, packed suitcases, and is currently driving north on I-75. What other explanation is there? Sarah's quiet for a moment. I can file an emergency motion, but it'll take time to get in front of a judge. Your best bet is to call the police and report a parental kidnapping. Will they actually stop her? If you can prove she's taking the children out of state without your consent, yes. I hang up with Sarah and dial emergency. Emergency, what's your emergency? This is Aiden Locke. I need to report a parental kidnapping. My wife is attempting to flee the state with my minor children. Sir, are you and your wife divorced? We're separated and in the process of divorcing. She doesn't have legal authority to take the children out of state. What's your location? I'm in pursuit. They're northbound on I-75, just past the Route 9 exit. Sir, I need you to stop pursuing and let us handle this. I'm not going to lose my kids because of bureaucracy. I hang up and immediately call Jim back. Where are they now? Just past the state line. And Aiden? That Honda is definitely following them. I think it might be Eric. This is getting more complicated by the minute. If Eric is following Tanya and the kids, it means he's either trying to protect them or he's leading Castellanos' men right to them. Either way, my children are in danger. I push my speed up to 80 and pray I don't get pulled over. 20 minutes later, I spot Tanya's white SUV at a rest stop just across the state line. The Honda is parked 3 spaces away, and I can see Eric sitting behind the wheel talking on his phone. He looks like he hasn't slept in days. I park at the far end of the lot and walk toward the building, staying out of sight. Through the windows of the rest stop, I can see Tanya and Nathan sitting at a table in the food court. Nathan looks confused and scared. Tanya keeps checking her phone and glancing toward the parking lot. My phone buzzes with a text from Morgan. "Dad, help. Mom says we're not going home." I text back, "I'm here. Stay calm." I'm about to enter the building when a black SUV pulls into the parking lot. Vincent and Tony climb out, moving with the casual confidence of predators who found their prey. This just became a whole different kind of emergency. I call emergency again. "Emergency! What's your emergency?" "This is Aiden Locke. I'm at the Route 15 rest stop, and there are armed men threatening my family." "Armed? Have you seen tools?" "These are professional criminals. They're here to collect a debt from my brother, and my wife and children are caught in the middle. Units are en route. Stay away from the situation." Easy for them to say. I watch through the window as Vincent approaches Tanya's table. She looks up at him with confusion, then terror as recognition sets in. Nathan shrinks back in his chair. I can't wait for the police. I enter the building through the side door, staying low and moving quickly. The rest stop is busy with travelers, which provides cover but also puts innocent people at risk. Vincent is talking to Tanya, his voice low and threatening. I can't hear the words, but her body language tells the story. She's pointing toward the parking lot, probably indicating Eric's location. I move closer, using a family with small children as cover. "Don't know where he is," Tanya is saying, her voice shaking. "He was supposed to meet us here, but he's sitting in the Honda Civic 20 feet away," Vincent interrupts. "You think we're stupid?" Nathan looks around desperately and spots me. His eyes widen, and he starts to say something, but I shake my head quickly, signaling him to stay quiet. "Look," Tanya says, "I don't know anything about Eric's business with you. I'm just trying to get my son somewhere safe." Tony laughs, a sound like grinding metal. "Safe? Lady, your boyfriend owes us $50,000. Nobody's safe until we get our money." "50,000? Tanya's voice rises. "He said it was 40. "Interest compounds," Vincent explains patiently, "plus penalties for trying to skip town. I'm close enough now to act, but I need to be smart about this. These men are professionals, and they won't hesitate to hurt people if they feel threatened." My phone buzzes with a text from Jim. "Police are 2 minutes out. 2 minutes might as well be 2 hours. I need to create a distraction." I pull out my phone and dial Eric's number, watching through the window as he answers. "Aiden, where are you?" "I'm watching you get my family ended, you idiot. Vincent and Tony are inside talking to Tanya right now." Eric's head snaps up, scanning the parking lot. "What? How did they find us?" "Because you're predictable. They probably followed you from the city." "What do I do?" "You run right now. Lead them away from my kids." "But Tanya made her choice when she decided to help you. My kids didn't choose any of this." I can see Eric wrestling with the decision. Finally, he starts his car and drives toward the exit. Vincent's phone rings, and he answers it while keeping his eyes on Tanya. "He's moving," Vincent says into the phone, then to Tony. "Eric's trying to run. Again." They exchange a look, and I can see them calculating. Chase Eric and lose Tanya, or keep Tanya and let Eric escape. Vincent makes the decision. "You stay with them," he tells Tony. "I'll get Eric." As Vincent heads for the exit, I make my move. I approach Tony from behind, moving quickly but quietly. "Excuse me," I say loudly, tapping him on the shoulder. He turns, and I get my first close look at his face. He's younger than I expected, maybe 30, with the kind of muscles that come from prison workouts and protein shakes. "You talking to me?" he asks. "Yeah, I'm Aiden Locke, Eric's brother, and you need to step away from my family." Tony grins, showing teeth that have seen better days. Well, the famous brother, Eric talks about you a lot." "I bet he does. But here's the thing, Tony. In about 30 seconds, this place is going to be crawling with state police. You can either walk away now, or you can spend the next 10 years explaining to a judge why you were threatening children." As if on cue, I hear sirens in the distance. Tony's grin fades. "This isn't over." "Yeah, it is." He looks at Tanya one more time, memorizing her face, then walks calmly toward the exit. I watch him drive away in the black SUV, probably going to help Vincent chase Eric. I sit down at the table across from Tanya and Nathan. My son looks relieved to see me, but Tanya's expression is unreadable. Are you okay? I ask Nathan. He nods. I was scared, Dad. Those men seemed really angry. They're gone now. You're safe. Tanya finally speaks. How did you find us? I followed you. The question is, what the heck were you thinking? You put our children in danger to help Eric escape his debts? I was trying to protect them. Eric said those men might come to the house looking for him. So your solution was to run away with him? To take Nathan out of school and flee the state without telling me? I was going to call you once we were settled somewhere safe. Bees. You were going to disappear with my kids and hope I never found you. The state police arrive in force, 4 cars with lights flashing. I spend the next 2 hours giving statements, explaining the situation, and providing evidence of the attempted parental kidnapping. The officer in charge, a sergeant named Williams, listens patiently to my story. Mr. Locke, we're going to escort your family back to the state line. After that, this becomes a local matter. What about the men who were threatening them? We've got APBs out on both vehicles. If they're still in the state, we'll find them. As we prepare to leave, Nathan hugs me tightly. Are you coming home, Dad? Not to the house, buddy, but I'm not going anywhere, I promise. Tanya pulls me aside. Aiden, we need to talk. No, we don't. You made your choice when you decided to help Eric run. You put our children in danger for a man who's never taken responsibility for anything in his life. I was scared. I didn't know what else to do. You could have called me. You could have trusted me to protect our kids instead of trying to run away with your boyfriend. Eric's not my boyfriend anymore. After today, after seeing what kind of trouble he's in, I'm done with him. Too little, too late, Tanya. As I drive back toward home, following the police escort, I realize that something fundamental has changed. This isn't just about the affair anymore, or the money, or the betrayal. Tanya put my children at risk to protect Eric, and that's unforgivable. The gloves are officially off. 3 weeks later, I'm sitting in the conference room at Sarah Chen's law office, watching my soon-to-be ex-wife sign papers that will change both our lives forever. She looks like she's aged 10 years since the rest stop incident. Her designer clothes have been replaced with discount store outfits, her perfectly styled hair is now pulled back in a simple ponytail, and the confident socialite I married has been replaced by a broken woman who can barely make eye contact. The custody arrangement is clear, Sarah explains. Mr. Locke gets primary custody of both children. Mrs. Locke gets supervised visitation every other weekend. Supervised? Tanya's voice is barely a whisper. Given the incident involving your attempt to flee the state with the children and your association with individuals involved in criminal activity, the court felt supervision was necessary. Tanya's lawyer, a public defender named Martinez, who's clearly overwhelmed, shuffles through his papers. What about spousal support? Sarah doesn't even try to hide her smile. Given Mrs. Locke's adultery and her role in depleting marital assets to cover her paramour's gambling debts, there will be no spousal support. But how am I supposed to live? The same way most people do, I say, you get a job. After the papers are signed and Tanya leaves with her lawyer, Sarah pours herself a cup of coffee and settles back in her chair. That was brutal, she says. I've seen a lot of divorces, but watching someone lose everything because of their own bad decisions never gets easier. She made her choices. Yes, she did. What about Eric? Any word on his situation? I check my phone, scrolling through the news alerts I've set up. He's alive, as far as I know. Castellanos' men caught up with him in Ohio, but apparently they worked out some kind of payment plan. He's washing dishes at a truck stop and living in a motel room. And your parents? Still not speaking to me. They blame me for Eric's situation, believe it or not. How do you feel about that? It's a good question. A month ago, being cut off from my family would have devastated me. Now I feel nothing but relief. Free, I say finally. For the first time in my adult life, I'm completely free. That evening, I'm at my new apartment, a 2-bedroom place in a better neighborhood than I could have afforded when I was supporting Tanya's lifestyle, helping Nathan with his homework while Morgan practices guitar in her room. Dad? Nathan looks up from his math problems. Are you happy now? Another good question. Am I happy? Or am I just satisfied with my revenge? I'm content, buddy. I'm exactly where I'm supposed to be. Do you miss Mom? I consider lying, giving him some comforting platitude about how adults sometimes grow apart, but still love each other. Instead, I decide on honesty. I miss the person I thought your mother was, but that person never really existed. He nods like this makes perfect sense to him. Kids are resilient that way. My phone buzzes with a text from Jim. Turn on Channel 7 News. You're going to want to see this. I grab the remote and flip to the local news. The anchor, a serious-looking woman in her 40s, is standing in front of a familiar building. Arrested this evening in connection with a money laundering scheme involving several local businesses. Vincent Torino and Anthony Castellanos, both with extensive criminal records, were taken into custody during a raid on this downtown restaurant. The camera pans to show Vincent and Tony being led away in handcuffs. The investigation began when local software engineer Aidan Locke provided information to police about threats made against his family by individuals attempting to collect gambling debts. I nearly dropped the remote. I never provided information to police about Vincent and Tony beyond the incident report from the rest stop. My phone rings. It's a number I don't recognize. Mr. Locke? This is Detective Rivera with the State Police. I wanted to thank you for your cooperation in the Castellanos investigation. I'm sorry, Detective, but I think there's been a mistake. I didn't provide any information beyond my initial statement. Actually, you did. The recordings you submitted of conversations between your brother and the suspects were instrumental in building our case. Recordings? I never submitted any recordings. Then it hits me. The smart home system I installed at the house. The same system I used to record Tanya and Rochelle's conversations. If Eric was at the house discussing his situation with Castellanos' men, those conversations would have been recorded automatically. Detective, I need to ask you something. How did you get those recordings? They were submitted anonymously through our tip line, along with documentation showing they were legally obtained from your own home security system. Someone submitted my recordings to the police. Someone who had access to my files and knew how to use them. After I hang up with the detective, I called Jim. Did you submit recordings to the police? What recordings? The conversations between Eric and Vincent's crew. Aidan, I don't know what you're talking about. I'm about to ask him more questions when Morgan appears in the doorway. Dad? I need to tell you something. She sits down on the couch next to me, looking nervous. I heard you talking to Jim about recordings, and I saw the news about those men getting arrested. What about it? I'm the one who sent the recordings to the police. I stare at my 17-year-old daughter, trying to process what she just said. How did you get access to my files? You taught me how to use the system, remember? Last year, when you were setting it up, you showed me how to access the recordings in case of an emergency. Morgan, those files were private. I know. But when I heard Uncle Eric talking to those scary men about hurting our family, I got scared. I didn't know what else to do. She starts crying, and I pull her into a hug. You did the right thing, I tell her. Those men were dangerous, and now they can't hurt anyone else. Are you mad at me? No, sweetheart. I'm proud of you. And I am. My daughter saw a threat to her family and took action to protect us. She's braver than I was at her age. Later that night, after the kids are asleep, I sit on my balcony with a beer, looking out at the city lights. My phone buzzes with a text from an unknown number. You win. I hope you're happy. It's from Tanya, probably using a friend's phone since hers was disconnected weeks ago. I type back, this was never about winning. Then what was it about? I think about that for a long time before responding. Justice. She doesn't text back. A week later, I'm at Nathan's soccer game when I spot a familiar figure in the parking lot. Eric is leaning against a beat-up Honda, watching the game from a distance. He looks like he's lost 30 pounds, and his clothes hang off him like he's playing dress-up. After the game, I walk over to him. You look like heck, I say. Thanks, you look good. Success agrees with you. What do you want, Eric? To apologize for everything. The affair, the money, putting your kids in danger, all of it? Okay, apology noted. That's it? What did you expect? Forgiveness? A tearful reunion? He runs his hands through his hair, which needs cutting. I expected you to gloat, to tell me I got what I deserved. You did get what you deserved, but I don't need to gloat about it. Those men, Vincent and Tony, they're in prison because of recordings from your house. Actually, they're in prison because of recordings submitted by my daughter. She was protecting her family from the consequences of your bad decisions. Eric flinches like I've slapped him. I never meant for any of this to happen. Yes, you did. You meant for all of it to happen. You just thought you'd get away with it. I start to walk away, then turn back. Eric, don't contact me or my children again. If you want to rebuild your life, do it somewhere else. He nods, tears in his eyes. For what it's worth, I'm sorry. It's not worth much, but it's a start. 6 months later, I'm sitting in the same conference room where my divorce was finalized, but this time, I'm on the other side of the table. Sarah Chen is representing me in a civil lawsuit against Tanya and Eric for the money they stole from our joint accounts. The defendants have agreed to a settlement, Sarah announces. They'll pay restitution of $47,000 over the next 10 years. How are they going to pay that? Neither of them has any money. Eric's working 2 jobs and living in a studio apartment. Tanya's working as a receptionist at a dental office. They'll each pay what they can afford, when they can afford it. It's not about the money anymore. It never really was. It's about accountability. After the meeting, I drive to Nathan's school to pick him up. He's waiting by the flagpole with his backpack, talking to a girl from his class. When he sees me, his face lights up. Dad, guess what? I got an A on my science project. That's great, buddy. I'm proud of you. As we drive home, he chatters about his day, his friends, his plans for the weekend. Morgan is at drama club practice, and I'll pick her up in an hour. Tonight, we're ordering pizza and watching a movie together. Just the 3 of us. It's not the life I planned, but it's the life I chose, and for the first time in years, I'm genuinely happy. The underdog finally learned how to bite back. And it turns out, I have excellent teeth.